Hi, I'm Leezá Steinorf. I'm an international leadership coach, conflict resolution specialist, and the creator of the Core Success Framework. So, if you're stepping into this new year, 2026, hoping that you will feel more confident this year, not just perform it, but really own it, you are not alone. Many young professionals feel like they're still waiting for someone to hand them confidence. But today, I want to give you actually a better path, one where you don't have to wait. You can actually start building it for yourself. All right? So let's start by clarifying what confidence is and actually what it also is not. So, confidence is not being loud. It's not always the person at the front of the room who's making the most noise. Sometimes those people are actually not confident. And it's also definitely not about faking it until you make it, right? That you can practice, definitely, but faking it, that's also not going to build real confidence. Real confidence comes from self-trust. It's from knowing you will show up for yourself no matter what the outcome is. And that kind of clarity about what confidence is and what it's not removes the pressure of trying to be perfect or doing it right. So I'm going to ask you, what's been your definition of confidence? Yeah, has it been tied to maybe how others see you, or if you accomplish something, or how you see yourself? So I'm going to invite you to do something. Make a list of 5 people that you consider confident. You can pause the video right now and write it down. 5 people that you really admire and say, wow, they've got that strength in the world. And then ask yourself what behaviors or qualities they are showing up with. What are you recognizing that those are the people you chose? And I think you're going to actually find a pattern. Most likely, not definitely, but most likely, they're present, they're grounded, and they're authentic, like in who they are. They're not flashy and trying to be perfect. They've got that depth of self. So I'll give you an example. I used to watch my father, and in his lifetime, he really faced incredible challenges, but also incredible opposition. He had really super high values, and he was not afraid to share them. But how he showed up, it just seemed so easy. Yeah, he just seemed so confident and in command of himself in the room. And I felt I could never do that. I could never be that. But what I found in getting to know myself without judgment, without making myself wrong or expecting myself to be right, is that I got to know who I am, how I see myself. And then I curated my own definition of confidence. So this is mine. I'm going to invite you to create your own. So for me, it's choosing to stand authentically in the strength of who I am. And that's not always easy. Trust me. But anyway, that's my definition. So I invite you, when you write down those 5 people and you identify the characteristics and how they're showing up in the world, create your own definition of confidence. How do you want to define it for yourself? And that gives you then something you can step in and practice in. Yeah? Okay, so now I'm going to invite us to look at actually the stories, the narratives that are usually running in our minds. Yeah? What thoughts run through your head when you are asked to speak up in a meeting, for example, or when you are wanting to ask for a raise or approach your boss or a colleague about something that maybe is really important to you. What goes through your mind? What are the stories? So ownership starts with recognizing those narratives because they're the ones that are really running everything. So you may have something like, I'm too young to speak up or too inexperienced. I don't know enough yet, or others know more than me, or I need to prove myself first. Whatever, whatever those beliefs are that you have running, they're not facts. They're not wrong. I'm not saying they're good, bad, right, or wrong. But what's important to know is that they're not facts. They're beliefs and stories that you have come to, to own for yourself, and then you think they're a truth. And that's where distinguishing what actual facts are from the stories that you're telling is incredibly powerful because you can edit the stories. It's super hard to change facts, right? Like it's raining, or um, I'm 5'8", or I don't know, the sun is shining, right? So those are things that's like you can't change those. They're facts. They're established. but the stories you tell yourself about those facts, those you can edit. Okay? So I'd like to invite you to a practice. Write down the thought that comes up when you're about to act confidently, whatever it is, and notice it first before you write it down, right? Next time you go into a meeting or you're going to make a phone call or you're going to sit with your colleague or your boss. And maybe it's something like, no one cares what I think, or I'm too inexperienced to have any say here, or I know I'm going to screw this up, so I'll just shut up. Whatever it is for you, recognize it and write it down, okay? And you may have a couple. And then ask yourself, is this always the case? Whose voice is this? Maybe it's not even your own. Maybe you took on somebody's story about you. Then you can ask, what would you say to a friend who was having that repetitive thought? So that practice gives you like a foothold into choosing beliefs, different beliefs than the ones that have been running you. And you have that freedom. First, you need to become aware of it. You need to own the ones that have been running. Okay? All right. And now I want to give you an opportunity to build micro moments, if you will, of confidence. Okay? So this is how we integrate what it is that we've come to recognize. And you don't have to build it in one big step. You can build it in tiny little acts and thoughts over a longer period of time in quiet moments when you're on your own. And sometimes it's not even perceptible. You can say it out loud. I don't know the answer, but I'll find it out. Or you can give feedback kindly when actually you would have usually stayed quiet, right? So you kind of exercise that muscle of speaking out for yourself. You can orient inside of yourself and saying or doing what feels right to you, what's moving you, rather than what you think others are expecting of you. Or maybe even setting a boundary and saying, I hear what you're saying and I don't feel comfortable with that, even if it's a little uncomfortable. Those are some of the things that you can do. So I'm going to give you two practices. One is that you start a confidence tracker just for a week, like 7 days, okay? Or you can take 5 of your work days, whatever works for you, but just for a week. And each time that you do something different, brave, even tiny, write it down. Like maybe you said something when you usually would have been quiet, or maybe you were quiet when you usually would have defended yourself, whatever it is. And you're going to be amazed at how much you accumulate. So you keep track of all that. And the second thing I want you to practice is don't wait for the right mood. Don't wait for the perfect opportunity, conversation, constellation, right? Because confidence actually doesn't come before you act. It's birthed as you are being who you are and as you are aligning with your values and your desires and showing up that way in the world. We can call it backward momentum, if you will, that in the act, in that action is when your confidence actually grows. Okay? All right. And now let's talk about excellence. And that's showing up in the world from your highest and best. It's not doing it perfectly. It's not being polished. Okay. And so confidence, when you stand in that strength of who you are, you actually have the ability, the opportunity, if you will, I'm going to say the fun to elevate other people. Yeah. So when you create that confidence for yourself, you get to use it in the world in a way that serves others and serves your value system. So it's not, as I said, it's not about being the loudest. It's really about helping others feel safe in your presence, help them grow, challenge them maybe, give them opportunity to contribute. So you are really a proponent for them building their confidence. Yeah. So you can ask yourself, do people feel more capable after they speak with me? Um, do I hold space for others in a way that I wish people would hold it for me? Right? So that's leadership. It's helping others step into their highest and best. And that's confidence at its highest form because you're recognizing your own strength and you're standing in that in order to support others. And it's also the most effective way to offer yourself that kind of space. Trusting yourself and building your confidence as you move forward. And you do anchor it by supporting others to do the same. It's really an amazing cycle. Okay, so I'm going to offer you, I'm going to say a stretch exercise, if you're willing. Find or choose one meeting, one conversation, maybe plan it ahead of time, or a project this week as you're tracking your confidence, right? Where you are going to support someone else's confidence. Maybe a coworker who's usually quiet, you're going to encourage them to speak up. Or you give them validation or encouragement when they've done something that you admire or you see it's been a contribution. Yeah. And you offer the trust that you actually have needed for your own self, and you offer it to them. And interestingly enough, that act of generosity, it actually reinforces your own sense of capability because you're growing it as you pass it on. All right. So this new year, right, we have this whole new cycle of seasons coming at us. There are going to be a multitude of chances for you to build your confidence, to be authentically who you are and stand in your strength with integrity, even when it gets tough. And no, it's not going to come from getting approval or being perfect or, being that person at the front of the room that everybody's looking at. It's really not where confidence grows. It comes from getting clear about who you are, owning your narrative, owning your growth, choosing to act from that place of strength, and then living from excellence and supporting others to do the same, lifting them up. And that's how you can build confidence that actually lasts longer than someone giving you a pep talk or reading an inspiring text, which is nice, but we want this to be sustainable, okay? So if this resonated with you, I invite you to share it with a colleague or a friend or someone that you feel is also ready to step into this new year with presence and power and make 2026 really their own in a big way. And if you're looking for deeper tools, you'll find them right here on this channel. And leave comments below and let me know how it goes. Let's build a community together. Thank you. Be well.